Just as we thought we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, yet another variant of the deadly COVID-19 virus is making its rounds around the world. The World Health Organization has described it as a variant of concern, which got some of us thinking about how to move about. A lot of us are already set for travel, but borders are affected again by the World Health crisis. Here's how your travel plans will be changed. So tune in to today's video to know more. Firstly, what travel documents do I need to bring with me? Pre-pandemic, traveling in foreign countries is pretty easy, wherein the thing you probably needed most would just be your passport and visa. But given the situation now, you'll need a lot more, and maybe even accomplish several requirements before you could step on foreign soil. Especially now that the WHO is keeping a stricter tab on the Omicron variant. It's possible that we'll get a lot more complicated traveling requirements. But for now, here are several traveling essentials you need to bring with you, whether you're flying domestic or international. Next, passport and visa. This is a no-brainer, but we feel it's important to repeat the reminder to bring your passport, and be sure to check its expiration as well, though some passports now have a validity of 10 years. Your passport should have an expiration date of at least 6 months from your return date. Co-founder of travel company Elsewhere, Alexis Bowen, stated. Up next, of course, masks. Although countries differ in their mask mandates, it's always better to bring and keep your mask on, not only in compliance with the rules, but to protect yourself as well, especially since you're traveling. Several countries aren't too strict with masks, but as we said, it's better to check beforehand and keep it on rather than risk getting infected. Others are pretty strict, requiring the surgical and N95 masks, like in Germany, while others are alright with the cloth one. Now we have proof of vaccination. One of the most important things that are an absolute necessity when you travel, in any shape or form, is the proof of vaccination. When you've completed your doses, you'll be given a vaccine card, which will serve as your proof of vaccination. In some countries, though, you also need to get a booster shot, so again, make sure to check with the country's requirements first before you proceed with your travels. Also, it's important to know what type of vaccines are accepted in said country, since other countries are particular with the brand. Another thing that goes hand in hand with vaccination cards is coronavirus test results, which have become a unified requirement in all countries. The timing requirement of your test might ask for results between 24 or 72 hours before your arrival, or 1 to 3 days. And, depending on the country, you may have to pay for it out of pocket, while others cater to foreign nationals freely. Next, a completed locator form. Several countries in Europe and the UK require their travelers to accomplish a digital passenger locator form before entering the country for contact tracing. In the UK, you are required to submit this 48 hours before you arrive, and usually it will include your contact information, vaccine status, and travel information, among many others. On the other hand, Croatia asks for proof of paid accommodation, and if you're traveling to Canada, you will need to download and submit information using the Arrive Can mobile app within 72 hours before your arrival. Another one is proof of insurance. Certain countries like Egypt, Jordan, and several Caribbean countries require proof of insurance, so it's a good idea to check your health insurance policies should the worst happen and you get sick while traveling. Knock on wood. Next is a PCR test for your return trip. Whether you're a local or a foreign national, you should always remember to take with you an extra or two of the PCR test, since it's needed for the return trip. Vaccinated or not, all individuals flying to the US and everywhere else are required to show negative proof of this test, which should be taken a day before boarding your flight, so you should check ahead of time if there are any pharmacies or testing centers near where you could get tested. In some cases, if you're traveling with a minor, it would be best if you bring along your proof of relationship, especially if you're a single parent or if you're traveling with other relatives. It could be a birth certificate or court document aside from the child's passport. Another ideal requirement you should bring is a child consent form if you're traveling with a kid. The new COVID travel restriction strikes some of Europe's beloved tourist spots. Ever since the pandemic broke out, one of the biggest industries industries hit devastatingly was the travel industry. In recent months, we've seen a slow but sure return of travel for many, with borders across the globe easing up, but now it's being restricted once again. This piece of news is but a crushing blow to establishments that rely on travelers for their income. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention just released a new list of places under the Level 4 Very High list, which include France, Germany, the UK, and Portugal, who have seen an increase in COVID cases. They, travel entrepreneurs, thought they were going to be fine, and now it starts again. Eduardo Santander, executive director of the European Travel Commission, told NBC News, "The impact of Americans not coming to Europe is something that can leave a huge dent in the income of many destinations. Are these protocols effective in preventing the rise in cases? Some countries found it best to just impose travel bans on certain high-risk countries in the hopes of slowing the spread of infections, just as they identify solutions on how to deal with the problem better as well as figure out its effects. The Omicron virus was just discovered in late November, so the health experts are still in the middle of studying its effects. Like how the saying goes, prevention is better than cure. So, going through the extra lengths of accomplishing these travel requirements is beneficial to us all. Admittedly, though, a lot of these restrictions and travel guidelines are heavily criticized by officials, claiming that it's ineffective. Putting in place travel bans that target Africa attacks global solidarity. WHO Regional Director for Africa Matshidiso Moitai told CNN, "COVID-19 constantly exploits our divisions. We will only get the better of the virus if we work together for solutions." WHO Regional Director for Africa Matshidiso Moitai said, "Travel restrictions may play a role in slightly reducing the spread of COVID-19, but place a heavy burden on lives and livelihoods. Governments are responding to the risks of the new coronavirus variant in emergency mode, causing fear among the traveling public." IATA Director General Wiley Walsh expressed in a statement, "As quickly as possible, we must use the experience of the last 2 years to move to a coordinated, data-driven approach that finds safe alternatives to border closures and quarantine." Omicron variant. What do we know about this? First identified in South Africa, it was known first as B11529. And was the cause of the surge in cases in said country. According to Sharon Peacock of the University of Cambridge, the Omicron has very unusual constellation of mutations, and they also said that it's possible that this variant is more transmissible than the previous ones, and that it's also likely to be more resistant to antibody treatments, which is one of the reasons why it's very concerning. But now that the holidays are upon us, people are eager now more than ever to travel, whether it be for leisure or to return to their homes. Truthfully, it's the latter reason that's more prominent, seeing how many of us got locked up inside during the worst of the health crisis. Europe has several rising cases, so it's a race against time to get the public for their booster shots in the hope to curb the rising numbers and prevent another lockdown. However, we cannot stress enough that it's still too early to tell how this variant will be, if it will be deadlier or less severe compared to the former variants. What have the countries been doing in response to the new variant? Although travel restrictions are easing up in the last couple of months, they're being implemented once again, so you could expect a lot of canceled flights or even rebook if necessary. Cases of the new variant are present in over 50 countries, namely Canada, the US, Germany, Hong Kong, and Israel, aside from the countries in South Africa. New Zealand already announced its travel ban to 9 southern African countries, while others are imposing new quarantine restrictions on arriving travelers in certain destinations. How do I proceed with my travel plans with the new restrictions? Of course, it's important to keep practicing the health protocols we've been doing since 2020, such as social distancing, frequent hand washing, disinfecting, wearing masks, and most important of all, being vaccinated. If possible, forgo non-essential travel, and if you must, limit contact. And with that, we're ending today's video about how the new COVID variant will affect travel across the globe. Do you have plans on traveling somewhere this holiday season? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button with the notification bell on before you go. And we'll see you again next time. Thanks for watching.